So this video is especially for a couple different people. It's for salespeople who specialize in in-home presentations, or a small business owner who owns like an HVAC, plumbing, painting, some business like that. So if you want to thrive long term and achieve a frictionless sale, then I want you to listen to this entire video. Um, if you were to hire a marketing team full time or an agency you hire, they're going to concentrate on either outdated methods or the 2% to 3% of people who are ready to buy right now. The problem with this is that when you do that, you are going to result in higher conversion costs, and you're going to get low value leads. So you'll have salespeople in the field wasting time. The reason for that is it may convert into a lead, but because of the way you're attracting them through a direct from cold traffic conversion, is that the only thing they have to compare you with is price. So most people are going to be, getting estimates from three different businesses, and the main driver to their decision is going to be price every single time. So how do you get around that? Well, the way you get around that is to market to the 97% that are not ready to buy right now. Now, I'm not saying don't market to the 2 to 3% because that's cash flow now. Yes, you're going to have to wade through bad leads. Yes, your conversions are going to be higher cost, but long term is going to be a branding play where you're going to create awareness, credibility, trust, and you're creating a pipeline, but also pipeline equity. So what do I mean by that? So number one, you're creating a pipeline because with this strategy, you are going to be creating content that's educational, entertainment. It's going to be value based. Some might have a light call to action, such as a follow, or you might have a downloadable giveaway or some kind of information that's helpful to the viewer. But it's not going to be a specific call to action where it's going to be book a call or sign up for a lead or sign up for a free inspection or whatever the case is. The point is to be seen and seen and seen. And the big word to use is consistency. Consistency is big because regular, when you hire an agency or someone to do Facebook ads, they're going to be going after that 2 to 3%, right? When those ads stop, everything stops. You've got nothing, right? So you've not built up any awareness. People might have seen your ad, but they shrug it off, and people are blind to ads at this point, right? So when you're in your feed, some people, you don't even notice that you're looking at an ad. So past that, you're going to want to create content that is going to be, and I like to think of it as like FAQ. So on your web page, you should have frequently asked questions. Those are your videos. You're educating your customer. You want to have them see you enough times on enough different platforms and in enough different ways to be familiar with you, to have built rapport with you through seeing your face, not just a faceless ad where you're talking about, oh, this promotion or that promotion or the spring cleaning or whatever the seasonal thing is. You're creating goodwill, you're creating value, you're creating trust, and awareness. But it's got to be consistency. It's got to be on a cadence. It's got to be daily. It's got to be weekly. And when you do that over the long haul, let's say, for instance, we're talking roofing. If someone's seeing posts that are either boosted posts or advertisement posts or video view engagement awareness, whatever you want to call it, the objective, when people are seeing those videos from you where you're explaining products, processes, why this works, why that doesn't work, why you should do this, why you should do that, why you should look out for this mistake, and why you should prevent this from happening by maintenance, or whatever the case is that's helpful to a homeowner, when it comes time to hire a roofer, the chances of them going out and getting 3 estimates are extremely low. They're going to call you because they've seen you over and over and over again. Not just pitching a sale, not just pitching, oh, we finance at starting at $99 a month, or no, it's not just, we We offer free inspections like every roofer does. It's You've already built all this equity in giving free information, free value, and education again, because you're explaining to them something they didn't know, which could potentially cause them harm or financial harm, right, in the future, if they don't take care of something. So this is this is this is the strategy that's going to really take you to the next level. And especially as AI is kind of taking over, people are getting lazier and lazier. Even agencies are getting lazier and lazier. That's the whole reason Facebook came out and Meta came out with the Andromeda update, because there was so much of an incredible overwhelm of slop content put out. Facebook had to figure out how to segment it and how to decide what's real and what's not, and what's valuable and what's not. So what Facebook is looking for is authenticity. It's looking for diversity, and I don't mean like how you look. I mean in what kind of content, um, and consistency. Right? There's that C word again. So you can't just be throwing up a whole bunch of a whole bunch of similar posts that look the same, that are just uh, that are put together by AI. Um, Facebook can see that now, and so you'll get penalized. On the other side of that, if you're showing your face and you're giving value and you've got engagement and you've got diversity of your platform. So in other words, um, I could be posting a head shot video here. I could be posting clips from a podcast. It could be clips in the field, testimonial videos, all these different things, right? But around the same subject. Okay, so that's how Andromeda is looking for to boost content. Now, putting a couple dollars behind that once a week, when I say once a week, I mean, like, for instance, you take one video, you run engagement ads towards it, video view ads towards it, which are like pennies on the dollar. You're talking about literally hundreds of views a day, if not 1,000 a day, for you know $5 a day, $25 a week, talking about 5 days a week. And what that's also doing is it's creating lurkers. Lurkers are underestimated. We're not talking about the people who are, looking for something right now, a solution right now. We're talking about people who are, who might be interested in what you're saying. They may not have a need for it right now, but, the guy next door, he's putting a roof up, right? And they might have had a conversation about an insurance claim. And then they see you and you're talking about the difference between ACV and RCV policies and how that can make a huge difference in how much it's going to cost you should you file a claim. And, you know, how old is your roof? How that makes a difference, why it makes a difference. Um, so that, taken with his life experience, when he does, you know, file a claim or decide, or get a non-renewal letter from his insurance company, chances are, if he's seen you on a consistent basis providing value, they're going to call you first. Okay. So when I say earlier in the video, I said creating a frictionless sale. When I say a frictionless sale, what I'm talking about is people, number one, are coming to you, but they've already had the questions answered. They've already had questions answered that A, they were thinking about, or B, they're the most common things that people would ask just based on the topic you're talking about, whether it be roofing, HVAC, plumbing, whatever the case is. Um, so you're taking all that away from them and you're putting it in your pocket. And that's creating credibility for you. But also you're justifying your price. There's a lot less need to take markdowns or discounts or anything like that when people see you and they understand your value. When you've demonstrated that you're the expert in your field, you're a lot less likely to have people who are going to be price conscious. Now, yes, at the end of the day, depending on the time of the year or what year you're seeing this, based on how the economy is doing, that could be a little bit more of a factor, depending on how tight things are. But even if they are looking at price, you're now also going up against two or three or however many quotes they're going to get against people who did not show up consistently, who did not provide value, who did not relate to them, who did not do any of these things that you've already done on a consistent basis. So yeah, you might be more expensive, but the chances of you getting that job are going to be a lot higher. Now, I've worked in many different in-home sales presentation jobs, right? So roofing to an extent. You got roofing, you got outdoor hardscapes, pest control, where, this company is not just trying to sell pest control, they're trying to do, everything. So it's like attic restoration, you name it. So if you're that salesperson, number one, it's a little bit of a slippery slope because a lot of companies don't want you making claims. They don't want you having your own, Facebook page or Instagram profile talking about work because they want to control what's being said. They don't, and understandably so. You can't go out there making claims and trying to get sales from making wild out claims that are representing something the company doesn't stand behind, right? So that makes sense. However, if you can have your own social handles and talk about things that are generic, you can talk about the industry, you can talk about products and processes, which are the two P's are huge, where you don't have to talk about or make any claims. You can just talk about this is the product, how we use it, why we use it, right? And so that's enough to educate people, to get them to the next step, okay, as far as like, seeing you as an expert. So think of brainstorm, and now we've got AI to help brainstorm and brain dump and all this kind of stuff. Think of all the things, the most common questions you're asked. Think about your sales presentation. Think about the things that you're normally trying to overcome. I got to think about it. I haven't talked to my wife or husband or whatever the case is. Think about all these things and write them down. Make a list. It could be, 20, 30 ideas. All you really need, and I'm going to simplify this whole strategy in one sentence, maybe two. If you can make a FAQ list, right, of 24, 24, 25. 24 is 24 weeks, actually, because I do one a week. Of course, now I'm going way past the sentence, but that's beside the point. 24 videos. Here's what you can do. You record 24 videos, helpful videos, right? You post one a week. You post it on Monday and you run it through Friday. So you've got 5 days. And then Sunday night, you schedule the next post to go out on Monday morning at like 7 a.m. And then you run the video view awareness ad for the next 5 days. So you have a new video posting every Monday, running for 5 days, and you run it for $5 a day. That's $25 a week, okay, or $100 a month. You should have $100 a month in order to spend on marketing, okay? What this does is it's going to position you as the leader, as you're going to be, and let me back up a second. When you do this, you're going to do the area codes that you cover. So if you're in Dallas, if you're in Omaha, Nebraska, whatever area codes within that major city, you're going to do, that's going to be your target, right? So you don't want it all across the country, because the reality is, unless you can service somebody in California when you live in Florida, it makes no sense, right? So if you live in Dallas, if you live in Miami, if you live in, Muskogee, wherever the hell that is, you want to focus on that one area, right? Obviously, the bigger the metropolitan area that you cover, the more people you're going to be being exposed to, the more effective, the more views you're going to get. Now, when these people are seeing it, and you're going to do it to the same group of people, you have 24 videos. That's 4 videos a month for 6 months. So you have 6 months of content where people are going to continuously see you every week with a new video. So you're not going to get fatigued. They're going to see you with new information. You can literally go with just that and then you just recycle everything. So you can, just because you ran something 6 months ago doesn't mean you can't pull it back up and put it on ads again and push it out, because the reality is some people may have missed it. Some people never saw it. Some people didn't reach to. Some people wish they had seen it and they're looking for it again. Whatever the case is, you can just recycle 6 months of content almost indefinitely. Now, of course, if there's some nuance to your industry or you want to share something new, obviously make new videos. I encourage making new videos. But if all you do is make 24 videos, you've got 6 months of content, and then you can recycle that. Now, at a certain point, you're going to have a bunch of insights in your meta back office, right? So you're going to be able to see, the most important thing for this is going to be watch time, right? So you're going to have your lurkers, your people who are watching your videos. They're going to be categorized, 25% or more, 50% or more, 75% or more, whatever the case is, right? At that point, when you've got a lot of people now in a kind of an invisible list, you don't have their information, but the numbers are there. People are watching the videos. You can then send offers or something with a call to action to, at that point, book a call, right? Or to, do something, get a free download or whatever the case is to get them into your ecosystem. Now, where you own them, you own their information, right? But now they're warm, right? They know who you are. They've seen you multiple times. They trust you. So now when you do a new video with the offer, you're sending it only to people who have viewed your previous videos 25% or more. The chances of them responding and converting are going to be a whole lot higher, which also drives those prices down for your conversion. So if you want to do conversion ads, it's way better to do it after you've created all this goodwill and you've created branding. They know you, they understand you. They're going to convert way better than if you just send it to cold traffic versus everybody else. Because now those people that are watching your videos over 25% for some kind of amount of time, those are not the 2 to 3% who everyone else is going after. Those are, you're plucking people from that 97% and you're bringing them into your world. And so you're basically taking them to an extent. A lot of it is going to be very true, but sometimes it's just to a smaller extent. You're taking them off the market, right? So you're bringing them into your ecosystem. And so when it is time for them to, use your service, it's going to be a no-brainer. And like I said, a frictionless sale. You've already answered all the questions. There's going to be very little opposition to them calling you and accepting your price based on whatever the project is that you're going to be quoting them for. So to recap, content, consistent content, Facebook ads, video views, not conversion ads. We're not trying to convert the 2 to 3% ready to buy now. We're just trying to expose our business and our personalities to 97% of those that are not ready yet. Bring them then into our ecosystem with retargeting ads. And you actually don't even have to do retargeting ads. The reality is the lurkers, when it's time for them to make a decision, they need your service, they're going to call you. Your contact information just needs to be available. They're going to call you. Man, I cannot stress enough that in 2026, with everything the way it is, with AI, with technology, things are moving so fast. I heard Gary Vaynerchuk the other day say that analog is going to be huge in the next couple of years because people are really starving for human contact, right? So if you're able to provide that, right? And then now when he says analog, I'm talking about face to face in person, like maybe like a workshop locally or something, which is another good idea. But if it's not just a faceless video where you're offering a special or a price discount or something like that, and you're offering value face to face, you can see my face. That's going to be a lot more valuable in the very near future. and no, and less people are doing it because as more and more technology comes out and AI and everything like that, people are getting lazier and lazier trying to minimize their work time. And that goes for, a small company to a marketing agency who's doing your ads, right? So they're taking on more clients. And so that requires them, to either streamline, which means AI, or, um, or not take on as many clients, period, not make as much money. So there's just a lot of opportunity to stand out locally in your local area, your service areas. There's a huge opportunity to stand out um, right now. And the way to do it, once again, just to kind of break it all down very simply, is one, create content around the frequently asked questions that your ideal customers would have, and then think of things that they don't know. So it's things that based on your expertise in your field that they would need to know, whether it be around hiring a contractor or specific materials or tools or something you use. Um, Educate people. The second thing is consistency. So doing it on a cadence. My recommendation is to do one video a week, run an ad to it, boost it, whatever the case is. Boosted posts are okay. Now, I know there's tons of people out there that kind of gone a sidetrack here. People say don't boost posts because it doesn't do this and it doesn't do that and it doesn't have the same capabilities and blah, blah, blah. If you're just advertising to a local geographic area, we're not looking for conversions here. We're looking for eyeballs and watch time. So if your hook is good and people watch the video, that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for all kinds of other things with conversion, which in the guru's opinion makes sense, but for what we're doing, not necessary. Anyway, back to the point here. One video a week, run video view ads to it for 5 days, and just keep doing that. When you run out of videos, I recommend it be 6 months, so one video a month. I'm sorry, one video a week, 4 weeks in the month for 6 months. That's 24 videos. When you run out, you just recycle. Go back to the beginning and just start boosting those posts again. Just go out from the very beginning. Now, in support of those videos, I also recommend using stories or reels. So stories on, Facebook, Instagram reels, something short. It could be a short clip from the video. So these videos I'm talking about, the FAQ videos, should be approximately 3 to 5 minutes long. You want it to be long enough to be an investment in time to show that people are warm, if they've stayed 25%, but not too long to where it's like, you're watching a webinar, right? So you want it to be kind of in the middle there. So 3 to 5 minutes. But in support of that, doing stories, reels, and just take a snippet of that. It could be, a carousel with just a couple, 3 to 5 carousel uh, images, right? And then you're driving traffic to the 3 to 5 minute video from the story or the reel. Okay. You can use carousel posts. You can use, reels. You can use, quote cards, or there's a lot of different things you can do on a micro basis to drive more traffic to that 3 to 5 minute video. And honestly, the more things pointing to it, um, I think actually does help give signals to Facebook and Instagram that people are interested, that this is important content, and your reach will probably get a little bit better. Aside from the fact that you're also paying for you're paying for those ads, but regardless, you still want to have a little bit more out there, not just the one video a week. You want some of the smaller micro content that's kind of funneling and pushing people towards that video as well. So once that's done, pay attention to your insights, the back office and the meta ads manager. You want to make sure that you're getting, building your invisible list where people are seeing your video over 25%. And then you can go back and create a new ad with an offer and send it only to the people who have watched your videos for the past 365 days or whatever the time span you want it to be, over 25%, and then send them an offer if you want to. Now, if you don't have the money or the budget to do that, that's fine. You don't have to do that. It just is a little bit better to take some of those people off the market, put them in your ecosystem. so that you can, now you can email them, you can communicate with them without paying, right? So um, that's it. If you just do content where you're educating your ideal customer and you're doing it on a consistent basis where you're constantly being seen, not pitching, not saying we do the cheapest work, not saying, you know, just competing with everybody else because I just think of the roofers for an example. There's really only two things they're saying. They're saying they do free inspections and that they offer financing starting at $99 a month, or whatever the case is. And that's it. There's no creativity out there whatsoever. So if you're out there and you're consistently on a cadence providing that value, you're just going to stand out. There's no way around it. Like you can't help but stand out. And last time I checked, standing out, whether it be good or bad, in this case it'll be good, is going to get you attention. And that's the whole point. It's the whole point. You want people to know who you are, to like and trust you, and have rapport with you and relate to you on some level. Um, so when the time does come to need your services, it's a no-brainer. They're not going to go to Google and type roofer near me, best roofer, and then just pick somebody based on price or ask for referrals. Referrals are great, but the problem is that referrals aren't always accurate, right? So as a consumer, you may get a referral from somebody. Yeah, so and so did a good job on my roof, right? It's not that's not it's a referral, but it's not really a glowing endorsement. That hasn't, outside of whether you trust that person, your next door neighbor or not, that'll help. But it doesn't really tell you anything. I would much rather have someone see me multiple times where I'm sharing valuable information that helps them, and educates them a little bit. I'd much rather have that than a referral. Um, but some people disagree, and that's fine. That's what makes the world go around. So anyway, um, something to think about. And I invite you into my world and join my group. And you'll see the link somewhere around here. I'm not sure where it's going to land depending on how you're seeing this, but I will see you next time, and hopefully in the group.